All right, let's stay in the AFC here. Kansas City Chiefs 27, New England Patriots 17. Chiefs moved to 9-5. Patriots fall to 3-11. It was a little back and forth game early. Patriots maybe with a little scare for the Chiefs. It was 7-7. Patrick Mahomes throws an interception in his own territory. Patriots go up 10-7, but then Bailey Zappi came back, threw his own interception in his own territory. Chiefs defense kind of cracked down for the rest of the game there. Of course, the story coming out of this too, when the Chiefs were up 27-10 and trying to run the clock out, another Kadarius Toney drop right on his hands that goes for an interception, leads to one more Patriots touchdown to make it 27-17. Mahomes visibly frustrated again at the end of the game. So stat line was going to be nice for Mahomes, but the second interception brings it down a notch. But still, yeah, very clean game for Mahomes. And Chiefs offense, pretty good passing attack outside of the two interceptions.
Yeah, well, so this was a game where the Chiefs offense was kind of the same as the Chiefs offense has been all season long. Constant mistakes throughout every skill position player not named Patrick Mahomes, right? So you've got the Kadarius Toney thing, which Kadarius Toney is now becoming like a cartoon. That was so absurd. Like, standard Kadarius Toney, little route to get wide the hell open, ball put in his hands, and then just like ridiculous drop that not only, not just a drop, but you somehow drop it and then bounce it up in the air and it lands right in the hands of the defender. Like, that man is now becoming like Wile E. Coyote in a football uniform. Like, every single play is just an anvil landing on his head. It's ridiculous. And Mahomes livid. But there was a drop touchdown by Travis Kelce. There was the first play of the game was like a chunk play to Noah Gray, negated by penalty. The Chiefs just could not get out of their own way again, and yet they were good enough that it didn't matter because Bailey Zappi has a terrible interception. The Patriots are just bad enough that it's it was going to be a win anyway. But this was the Chiefs. It's the same story. It didn't change. Even though they won this game and it was relatively comfortable, this is still a game that's like, dude, this can't happen in the playoffs against the best teams because it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, Mahomes, I think, has played better than he did earlier in the year. Look, in this game, he's 27 of 37, 305, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, passer rating of 92.7. EPA was mediocre because of those interceptions, right? He's played better these last few weeks, far better than the stats have shown. Remember last year we had a lot of Chiefs fans very mad at us because, PFF can't capture Mahomes' greatness. They can't capture all of the incredible stats that he puts up. Well, they're coming back. Chiefs fans are going to come back. They're coming running back to PFF now as they try to justify, and it is justifiable, that Mahomes is playing far better than his stats would show. And as a team, you're absolutely right, Sam. I mean, they won't win in the playoffs if they play like this. And I don't know if it's not all just drops. It's penalties. They had a couple offensive pass interferences. I mean, there's just a lot of things going wrong in this game for the Chiefs, and they still win by 10. And again, I mean, the Patriots offense is not good, and they probably should have only scored 10 until they were handed that short field. But the Chiefs defense has been excellent for the majority of this season. And I think one of the weaknesses for the Chiefs has been that run defense, where they have some teams that can kind of run on them and grind it out, and they played well in this game outside of the late touchdown run by Kevin Harris. So, it's one of those games that doesn't teach you a lot of new information as far as the Chiefs go, other than, man, they're running out of time to clean things up offensively, where it feels like they won't be able to play this type of ball if they run into the Ravens or the Bills again.
Yeah, and they keep making that point that the guys in the building are capable of turning this around. And the fact that Travis Kelce, by the way, is now one of these players making the mistakes is possibly a concerning development. Like, it's one thing of Kelce and Mahomes, keeping the course, and it's just everybody else that needs to get their shit together, like Kadarius Toney. But Rashee Rice continues to fumble the ball, which is his one weakness on the season. He got back on top of the one that came out this time, and it was a good sort of helmet on the football type of thing. But Rashee Rice has had a fumbling problem this season. Travis Kelce, dropped a touchdown where he, I think, felt a hit incoming from Kyle Duggar and sort of, I don't know, just bailed on it essentially, didn't come down with that ball. But Kelce needs to make all the plays that come his way because other people aren't. And if Kelsey's now adding to that by not making those plays, there was also the weird play where he kind of pushed off and then flopped in the end zone, where if you just stood up, like the ball's coming to you, why you flop? Like, okay, maybe you might get the pass interference call, but you would have get the touchdown if you just stayed on your feet and caught the football. I mean, the whole thing is just wrong.
The one somewhat controversial play in this game, there was a play where Sky Moore fumbled, and it got negated by an illegal contact.
I didn't see that penalty, as in I didn't see.
There was no penalty.
Right.
So it's one of those games, again, if you're almost a 10-point underdog in New England, the only way they're going to pull that off is by those types of turnovers and plays, or the Chiefs just making all the mistakes that you mentioned. Once that got negated, it was like, all right, this is done. I mean, the Chiefs are just too good for New England to be able to come back here.
It was one of those plays where I didn't see the penalty. I saw the replay of what they were claiming the penalty was on, but I also didn't spend enough time looking to see if it was somewhere else and they just called the wrong number. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like sometimes you see a replay and it's been called on number 24, and they're like, here, look at this, number 24. There's nothing wrong with this play. But actually, if you look over there, it's the guy they actually called it on. They just called the wrong number, and that's a clear penalty. So I didn't see if this was a play where there was a clear illegal contact somewhere else in the set. But certainly what they were claiming the penalty was on should not have been a penalty.
All right, so Chiefs 9-5, no longer just a game ahead in the AFC West. It's now 2 games. And the Chiefs still have a path to the number 1 seed because they don't have – I mean, they have the Raiders, Bengals, and Chargers over the next 3 weeks. Ravens have to play the Niners, have to play the Dolphins. The 2 teams ahead of them have to, they're playing each other. Like, the Chiefs still have a chance at the bye here if they take care of business, despite all of the issues this year. New England locked into that number 2 overall pick, and with Carolina's loss, maybe still have a chance at number 1 overall.
Mahomes, by the way, must be like reaching the end of his tether at this point in terms of, like, what am I supposed to do to get these guys not doing this? Like the Sky Moore play, Mahomes is right up to Sky Moore after that play to be like, don't worry, it's okay, it's not going to count. Look, there's a defensive penalty. And it's like, yeah, but it was still awful. Don't do that. And then I wish there was a lip reader out there with there's a shot of Mahomes like right in his face as he hits the sideline, goes on the bench, and after the Kadarius Toney play. I don't know exactly what he says, but he's like, I just something that guy. Like, it's like the dude is, I don't know what more I can do to give these guys the opportunities to make plays and not screw up. And it just keeps happening. Like, it's not like they're completely devoid of talent, this group. Travis Kelce is still Kelce. Kadarius Toney is capable of making spectacular plays. Rashee Rice looks like a great, talented rookie. They just need to stop making mistakes, all of them.
I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but if the Chiefs hadn't won the Super Bowl last year, I was a little wrong. I was a little wrong because I thought that they invested too much in the offensive line and less in the playmaker situation.
This is the year that people thought they would have last year.
If you flipped the Chiefs' seasons last year and this year, it would make more sense.
Right.
Last year was so clean from start to finish for the Chiefs, including all the way through the playoffs. And again, the difference in the playmakers last year to this year is literally just Juju Smith-Schuster for Rashee Rice. And Rice has been good, even though he's not as productive as Juju was last year. But it's all the same guys. It was just Marquez Valdes-Scantling's not playing as well. Travis Kelce may have lost something, right, in another year of age. And you didn't get development from Sky Moore. You didn't get development from some of the other guys you were hoping for. And you lost McCole Hardman and then brought him back. But it's not that much of a difference from a personnel standpoint. But the point I made 2 years ago was knowing what the Patriots dynasty was for 20 years, if the Chiefs are going to have a Patriots-like dynasty, the only thing that slowed New England down was years where their playmaker situation was horrendous, pretty much. That was it. So don't let that happen, was my advice at the time. And it felt like they got through it last year with a great offensive line and good, not great playmakers, because Mahomes played great, elevated those guys. But I wonder if this actually does trigger the Chiefs to be like, just like they did with the offensive line 2 years ago, never again. Never again. And this is a year they're going after T. Higgins or Mike Evans or 2 draft picks or whatever it might be. I wonder if this actually ends up becoming the impetus for the Chiefs to say, okay, never again. We're actually going to flood the field with playmakers again in the Mahomes era.
So our live fact checker, Ben, is trying to bounce back and redeem himself from feeding us misinformation previously. He has found a screenshot of the defensive holding call on the Sky Moore fumble play where a DB clearly does hold. Alex Austin has hold of the guy's jersey and is pulling it back at the break, which I believe was the other side of the formation from the replay they were showing from memory. So it does look like a clear hold, or at least it's the kind of hold that will be called, right? Like the Super Bowl one with James Bradbury, where once you see the angle where the jersey comes away, it's going to get called. So legit holding penalty, even if the replay
faux outrage then
choice on TV
no outrage.
was questionable.
We're good.